For our question of the day, and today it comes from Paul in Queens. Paul asks, what are the restrictions for travel in China, both for journalists and for tourists?
Well, for tourists, it's important to plan far in advance. There are certain areas, such as Tibet, where you do need a permit to travel, and restrictions, depending on time of year or just events happening, where these restrictions can change. So, as I said, plan far in advance. For journalists, some areas are off limits, particularly at certain times, but it's probably not quite as restricted as people in the West may think.
Yeah, certainly. In fact, much less restricted for the average tourist who can travel around. As you said, there are places like Tibet where you must join a group. What might be unusual for perhaps American travellers is that when you go into a hotel, you must register with a passport or an ID document, photo ID. And in some cases, the more remote areas are a little behind the regulations. Tourists are now allowed to stay in the cheaper hostels and inns, which previously they weren't. There were special hotels for foreigners. Some of these places still think those regulations apply and maybe a bit sort of weary about letting somebody in.